I brought you something close to me.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I am very excited because I get to swatch the new Anastasia Master Palette by Mario. I am super excited to try out this palette. If you watched my last video, which was a Sephora VIB Rouge haul, then you would have known that I picked up this palette as well as a few other goodies. So today I'm going to be doing a kind of review of this palette as well as a comparison between this palette as well as the Modern Renaissance palette that Anastasia brought out a little bit in the summer, I guess. So when I heard that Mario was going to be doing a collaboration with Anastasia, I knew that this palette had to be amazing. Because Mario is a makeup artist, you would assume that his products are going to be amazing, so that is why I picked up this palette. This is what the packaging for the palette looks like. It is black and gold, super simple, super sleek, and on the back of the case you kind of see a little, oops, on the side, you see a little drawing of the palette and the shadows that are inside, so you can kind of see that there are quite a few neutrals but some pops of color. I would definitely say that this is more of a wearable palette versus the Modern Renaissance because it has quite a few reds and oranges in here, which is not everyone's cup of tea. But without further ado, let's dive into this. So this is what the palette looks like, exactly like the slipcover that was on it. It is black and gold, and when you open it up, you have a mirror on the top here as well as your shadows at the bottom. You also do have a little brush that I decided to take out. I really like these brushes. I think they're very good quality and I love how they're double-ended as well. And inside this palette you get 12 shadows, 2 less than the original Modern Renaissance palette. I was kind of surprised when I picked this up and it was just a little bit shorter. Let me show you guys in comparison. You can see the size difference between the two palettes. The Modern Renaissance has just 2 more shadows tacked on the end versus the Mario palette. But I still think they're quite beautiful palettes. As you can see, my Modern Renaissance is very well loved. So I'm very excited to try out the Mario palette because it looks like it has some really amazing shades in it. This palette has some really beautiful shades and it kind of leans towards the warm side of things. In this palette you get 3 mattes. I wish there were more. In the Modern Renaissance palette I believe there were only 2 shimmery colors in that palette, but this one has quite a bit more. The one thing I would say about this palette is that it doesn't really have a color that is super light or a color that is super dark. But I think this palette would suit quite a few skin tones, so let's get swatching. This first shade here is called Hollywood, and it's kind of like this goldeny kind of yellow shade. It is not too shimmery, which I quite like. It is leaning towards the warm yellow side of the color family, so that is Hollywood. The next shade over is called NYC, and it's this gorgeous chocolatey brown color. Yeah, that is so pigmented. That is so pretty. NYC is a browny kind of reddy color. It does have a little bit of like a satin finish, I want to say, but it definitely leans towards the red side of the color family. I do really like that color. I think it's very good in the crease. It does seem to have a little bit of a goldeny kind of rosy type sheen to it as well. It's not too noticeable, but I think it is a very nice warm color for the crease. The next shade is called Kim, which looks gorgeous. This is kind of like a medium toned brown. So this is kind of like a coppery kind of rose goldy shade. I think this eyeshadow would look amazing on darker skin tones. I'm kind of thinking of like this halo type eye look with this just in the center of the eyelid. That color would look amazing. The next color is Muse, which is kind of like a purpley kind of browny color. It is a little bit again on the coppery kind of bronzy side. Oh my gosh, these colors just look so pretty together. I really like this color because I think it is quite unique. It isn't a color that I would normally see in other palettes. It kind of has a rosy kind of glow to it, which I quite like, so I'm very excited to use that one. My camera cut out for 3 shadows, but you really didn't miss anything. The next one that I swatched was called Claudia, and it is kind of like this bluey gray kind of color. It's not as pigmented as all of the rest of the shadows, and it is slightly less shimmery than the previous 4 that I swatched. Right underneath I have the shade Taupe, which is one of their 3 matte shades in the palette. I love a good taupe, and Anastasia does some really amazing mattes. I think this is the perfect kind of warm brown shade to put through the crease. It kind of just opens the eye a little bit and brings a little bit of warmth in. And this one down here is Isabel, which was one of the shades that I was very excited to use. This is kind of like a rusty orange color. On camera it kind of looks similar to the previous one, which was called Lula, but in person you can totally tell the difference. This is one of the colors that would definitely build up really nicely, and you can get a really nice orange crease color. So far the color family for this palette is really on point. So far there are just some really nice rich colors in there that would help create a really beautiful smoky eye. The next shade is the last matte shade in this palette, which is called Violetta or Violetta, kind of like a warm brown. So this is one of the darkest shades in the palette next to NYC, which I already swatched up here. This shade is a little bit, again, more on the orangey kind of reddy side. There is no true cool brown in this, so if you guys like warm colors, then this palette could be one you reach for. Violetta is just a little bit more cooler than NYC, which was up here, but it's still in the warm family. The next shade is called Fifth Avenue, which is this gorgeous champagne-y color. It's a little bit more shimmery than Hollywood, which is up here, the first one I swatched. It is really pretty. It reflects the light really nicely. Bronx is super pretty. It is kind of like this olive green kind of shimmery color. I think this color is beautiful, but I wish it was more on the greener side. As you can see swatched, in certain lights it kind of gets more of a browny kind of color. I think all of these shades kind of move towards the kind of champagne-y, golden-y kind of colors, which I do like, but I kind of just wish this was a straight up green. So the very last shade down here is called Paris, and it is again kind of like in the taupe family. However, this one is more on the warm side. It looks a little bit more shimmery / satiny. So these are all of the swatches from the Master Palette by Mario. Overall, I really love the colors. I do think they are, or well, they do seem quite dupable though. None of these shades are super unique. I think the ones that I think kind of make this palette are definitely this green one down here, which is called Bronx, but in certain lights you don't really see the green. And I also really like these two shades up here, which was Muse and Marina. Other than that, I think some of the shades can be quite dupable. I do like the collection of shades you get in here, but you don't get a super light inner corner like you do have with the Modern Renaissance. Primavera and Vermeer were like my go-to highlights, and because I'm quite fair, they were actually highlights on me. I find sometimes highlights can be too dark for my skin tone, but I think I can get quite a few good smoky eyes out of this. I think these colors are gorgeous, and they have the same quality as all of the other Anastasia shadows. Now before I end this video, I do want to try these shades on eyelids, so I'm just going to see how well they blend. What I have on my eyes right now is just a little cream eyeshadow stick from Nude Sticks. This is their magnetic matte eye color in the shade Taupe, so that's what I have on my eyes today and nothing else. I think I'm gonna go in with a little bit of Muse. Alright, so overall I think I really do like this palette. I think Muse is such a gorgeous color. I put that all over my eyelid, as well as a little bit of Isabel. So the textures of the actual shadows is perfect. They are exactly like the Modern Renaissance palette. Like I said in my last Anastasia eyeshadow palette swatch video, the texture kind of reminds me of the Lorac Pro palette or the Lorac eyeshadow palettes. But these colors on me don't look as muddy as the Lorac palette. I think these colors are beautiful and they blend really nicely together. They don't turn into like this gray mess when you start blending them. I mixed together a little bit of Bronx and Claudia together to do underneath here, and I also kind of lined my eyelids with this as well. The one thing that I do not like about Anastasia shadows in general, and that same thing goes with the Modern Renaissance palette, is that when you put your brush in it, you have to be, or rather you have to have a very light hand, or else you kind of kick back a little bit of the product. So I think this is a very good beginner's palette. If you're just getting into makeup, I think these palettes are perfect aside from the Urban Decay ones. The only complaint is that it doesn't really have a super light highlight, but I guess you can always just use your face highlight. I think I'm definitely going to get quite a few smoky eyes out of this. I think that's really the only thing you can do with this palette is a ton of smoky eyes, or maybe just choosing 1 or 2 colors and just doing a full wash on your eyelid. So if I had to choose between the Modern Renaissance palette and the Mario palette, I think I would definitely choose the Modern Renaissance palette purely because it is so unique and you get a really nice range of different colors. However, I would only go for this if you are quite adventurous in makeup already. If you are a beginner, then I definitely say go for the Mario palette. You can never go wrong with one of these palettes. It has all of the neutrals that you need. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me swatch all of these shadows. If you guys want to see more swatch videos, then please do let me know. Always, I have a ton of stuff on my blog, so I will leave that link down below. But I think that is it for me today, guys, and I will see you next time.
I read you something close to me, left with something new. See through your hair.